You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I'm Stephen Cabral, and many of you are probably listening right now and saying, oh, he still is dealing with that low, hoarse voice. And yes, I am. Although it's about, I would say 50, 60% better, it could still be a whole lot better. But I don't want that to stop me from also doing what I consider my mission, my job, and bringing you another episode of our Motivation and Mindset Monday. So today, instead of doing my topic that I had on hand, I want to bring you something today, and that's, does adversity really build character? Like me dealing with this hoarseness of voice today. I'm going to share with you a little later in the episode why this to me is nothing. This means absolutely nothing to me. And although it might be not my favorite having to deal with this, voice-based issue and some of the repercussions that come along with it, and not be my best on this podcast either, I do want to share with you why, to me, it honestly is no big deal anymore. And so let's get right into it. So a lot of people say, does adversity build character? And the answer can be yes or it could be no. A lot of people just simply think that it leads to hardships, meaning like, oh, the person goes through so much adversity. They have so much adversity in their life. They have so many hardships. Well, the thing is this, I've seen it work both ways. Some people go through hardships in their childhood, and it really does break them. It makes them have to deal with kind of the consequences for their entire life of what they went through. And it can lead to poor outcomes in school, poor outcomes in their job, poor outcomes in relationships. And they never seem to go anywhere, or what a lot of people might say amount to whatever they are meant to achieve in their life. And then there are a lot of other people where they say, well, that used that adversity and it then allowed them, it fueled them to achieve even greater things in life. And so why is that? Why do some people allow that negativity and the pessimism to persist through their whole life? And some people use that negativity as really fire inside their soul, inside their belly to push them. And I can tell you that, again, having seen thousands of people in my practice, I see people from both a weight loss perspective and a wellness perspective, they come in. Some people say, there's really no hope for me. There's no way I can lose weight, or there's no way I can overcome this adrenal fatigue, or this Hashimoto's, or this autoimmune-based issue, or whatever it might be. And then there's a lot of other people who just have almost a little bit more anger in them, but they just refuse to give up. And that's really what I see in my practice. I see, yes, a lot of other people in between, but some people that just like, you wonder, why are you here? Because you don't believe that you can achieve. And then there's other people saying that they almost have to scale it back a little bit. They have too much anger, too much fuel in them, where that can hurt them as well. And that actually hurt me in my own life for many, many years, is that I was too persistent, too hardcore, just pushing too hard. And that actually pulled me back a little bit as well. So, here's what I want to tell you is that for the people in my practice who are just down on themselves, they are negative, they are pessimistic, what I believe the hope is for them is that they get small wins, and they can see they can achieve something, and they can build off of those small wins to even bigger wins, and then great wins. And that's why when we do our nutrition plan for weight loss, we want people to see that 3 to 5 pound weight loss their very first week, right? That's very important to us, so that they know that this is just the beginning. That yes, they would love to have lost maybe even more weight, but realistically, if we can lose 5 pounds that first week, and then we can go on to lose 1 to 2 pounds every week after that, you're going to achieve your goal. Even if your goal is 50-pound weight loss, it's only going to take you, 10 weeks or so? It's really not that long a period of time. So you can do that. Sorry, not a 10-pound. At 2 pounds a week, you're looking at multiplying that by 20 weeks, and then you're at 40 pounds. So just a little over that, about 6 months, you'll achieve that 50-pound weight loss. And again, that's not insurmountable. And if you're dealing with adrenal fatigue, well, what if you just got 10% more energy per month? What if that was the case? Well, in the course of a year, you'd be completely rejuvenated, and then you'd have the rest of your life. So really you have to look at it like that, is that small wins can be great as well. And then for the people who are just, really too much fire inside of themselves, you have to temper that a little bit, meaning that you'll have some great, great wins. And yes, you will get well. You will lose the weight as well, but just pull that back a little bit so that you don't burn yourself out too quick, that you don't keep relapsing, which is really what I went through, meaning like, okay, I got well after a few years of searching, maybe like 4 or 5 years. But then every few months I would relapse again. And that's just because I was pushing too hard, not giving my body enough time to just gently adjust back into my overall health. And again, a colleague and friend of mine, Tony Hill, he lost his voice for over 5 years. He couldn't speak for 5 years. Can you imagine that? Not a few days, like 2-3 days like I'm dealing with. And again, I can speak right now. It's not the prettiest voice. But he couldn't speak for 5 years. Can you imagine that? I mean, really, really intense. And the trials and tribulations that he must have gone through with relationships, with work. I mean, he was a stand-up comedian. He just stopped doing his stand-up act. And so that led him, though, to now being a great health practitioner because he used that fuel. He used that fire inside of himself for good to now teach other people why he lost his voice. Okay? So really, really remarkable. So that's what I see in everyone, is I see the ability to overcome. And again, I'm not special. Tony's not special. A lot of my wellness clients in my practice, a lot of them just have a great burning desire to succeed. But even if you don't have that, you have to understand that all of this adversity, if you use it wisely, if you do not allow it to burn you out completely, if you do not allow it to make you depressed, you do have the ability to even create greater things in life. And I really believe that. And the reason is this, that until you have some hardships in your life, you don't even have a really great story. Like if your story is things always going great for you, well, then that shows no strongness of character. That shows no ability to overcome and achieve. And here's why it's even more important, is now I'm dealing with this little hoarseness of voice that I've never had before in my life. But I know for sure that even if it lasts a week, if it lasts 2 weeks, if it lasts a month, that I'm going to overachieve it. I'm going to achieve it, right? I'm going to overcome it. I really will. And then I'm going to have a story of how can I help other people who have had this inflammation of their vocal cords essentially overcome it even faster, right? Because I'm doing the research right now. I'm understanding how speaking for 20 days straight of over 8 hours a day, of giving seminars, of basically talking very loudly into a microphone on the weekends and not giving myself the time to rest my vocal cords like I typically do, and doing videos and doing podcasts, how that can inflame again those vocal cords. And now what is it that not only builds up the inflammation in the body, but how can I overcome it faster, this time? And of course, next time as well, because I'm doing the research now. So here's the big thing. When you're going through the adversity, a lot of times you don't see the end in sight. Like right now, I have no idea when my voice is going to be better again. But I can assume that it can't be forever, right? That it's going to be a day, maybe another 2 days. That's really it. And then I'm going to overcome it. And so the only reason that I have this mindset, though, is because I've overcome other difficulties in my past. And that's why when you're in a difficult time yourself, I want you to look back to your past. What things have you overcome in your own life that you can look back on and say, I've overcome that. That was at least as hard as what I'm going through now. And I know I'm going to get through to the other side again as well. And so as we're going through all of these different hardships, I highly recommend that you write them down in a journal. You write them down in what I might call a victor's journal, so that the next time you face adversity, you can look back and you say, oh, look at that time I overcame that adversity. That time when I wasn't feeling that well, I overcame that as well. When I lost my job or I got laid off, when I overcame that, I created my own path. I created my own way. When my family wasn't doing well, when my parents weren't doing well, how I helped them, how they overcame it. All of these things can, instead of becoming what breaks us, come those things that make us stronger. They build a better foundation. They create a better character. And that's here simply what I'm here to tell you today, is that this simply won't be my best day, right? This won't be my best podcast. This won't be my best day of voice, right? But I'll become back stronger. I really will. That my voice will be better. That my body will be even less inflamed, and that all of these things I will learn from as well. And again, this is very relatively minor on my part. This is just simply a little bit of voice. But there's a lot of people right now who are going through much more difficult times, like I went through in my own past, right? They're going through a lack of job, a lack of employment, a lack of financial means. They're going through a lack of wellness, a lack of being able to lose weight. So all of those things, again, a lot greater than what I'm dealing with right now. But I can tell you this, that all of us go through these types of hardships in our life, and they simply can be a way to build our character, to make us stronger. And I know that you're going to use them as a way of seeing that this is just one more hardship that you're going to overcome, and understanding that life is not simply rainbows and unicorns all the time, right? It's not. There's an ebb and flow to life. And I don't know one person, whether the richest person in the world or the poorest person in the world, who has it terrible all the time or great all the time. It's just not the way it works. And that's okay. That's actually what makes life great, is going through these little, ups and downs in life, and knowing that on the other side, things will be better. You'll get to enjoy that time. And again, a little bit of a downhill and then come right back out of it. I was telling someone the other day that it's not about going through life and just coasting through. And it's not about having great times all the time. It's about when you hit those low points, is how few days they can be low, how few hours before you can pull yourself out of it and get right back on top again. So again, thank you for tuning in to another Motivation and Mindset Monday. And I look forward to speaking with you again tomorrow on our Total Wellness Tuesday, hopefully with an even better voice, a little better and a little less deep. Talk to you soon.
Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing, and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests, or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.